Hello and welcome. I'm Tafaragadamu. My guest today, the hip-hop artist MIK-E, was on my show several years ago. What has changed in between?
I guess we so concerned with the swagger that the words don't matter, huh? Yeah. Now this is Afro flow, come on. You better act like you know, come on. MIK-E, come on. Flash your bright lights, check your cameras. You got swagger, but you ain't got no stamina. You can't handle us, you ain't man enough. You got swag, son, but you ain't got no stamina. I'm in a good mood, my vibration's quite amazing. I'm a good dude, although my patience ain't the greatest. I got good news, it's finally time to do away with all this hatred in the streets. At least I came to say my piece. I'm exhausted with the floss and all this lying, greed and killing. I inspire one before I mislead a million. Y'all respect the cat flashing ice for more Grammys. I respect the man who sacrificed for his family. Y'all respect the fool who won the flash but has nothing. I respect the dude who stacking cash but says nothing. Y'all respect the dog willing to kill for the streets, and I respect the one willing to die for his beliefs. Now, y'all respect the cat flashing ice for more Grammys. I respect the man who sacrifices for his family. Y'all respect the fool who wanna flash but has nothing. I respect the dude who's stacking cash but says nothing. Y'all respect the thug willing to kill for the streets. I respect the one willing to die for his beliefs. That is the essence of stamina.
Very well welcome to the program, Mike.
But Tama Mr. Ganala, thank you for having me back.
You have this new music video, Stamina.
Yeah.
It has a positive vibe, right?
Absolutely. A very aggressive but positive vibe.
But that's not pretty much popular where you come from in the U.S.
It is in underground circles. You know, what we do is not considered mainstream. But everybody who's seen the video likes it. And it, you know, it circulates through social networking, through the internet, fringe cable shows. And now here in Ethiopia, you know, people like you playing it and some of the other folks here.
So where does the inspiration come from?
Well, we call it stamina because, you know, anybody knows me, I draw a lot of inspiration from Ethiopia, not just as my birthplace. So stamina was really inspired by people like, you know, Haile, Kenanisa, Abeba Bakila, Tudanesh Debaba. I have to say that because when we mention Ethiopia runners, nobody ever mentions the women. And we have incredible female champions. And so it was inspired by the notion of stamina versus swagger. The term swagger is very important to people now. You know, I have swag, meaning, you know, my clothes, my jewels, my money, my car, my glasses. And what we're saying is that swagger is cosmetic, but stamina is what it takes to be successful.
The real thing.
The stamina is the real, look, I mean, you're a journalist and you're still doing your thing. That's stamina. You can look in any field, doctor, lawyer, teacher, professor, athlete, anybody who's achieved any level of excellence has stamina, determination, discipline. And so what we're saying is that swagger's cool. You know, we all want to present ourselves in a positive light. But if you don't have the stamina to back it up, it doesn't mean anything. And so that's where that inspiration comes from.
So have you shared this video with some Ethiopian friends here?
I have.
Musicians and admirers of your work?
Yes, I have.
What is their reaction like?
Phenomenal. I mean, and I say that not to be boastful, but we're very proud of it because...
But Ethiopian kids, Ethiopian lovers of music who are young enough to be able to admire hip-hop and all that stuff are pretty much tuned to different kind of stuff, very violent, very...
They are, but here's the interesting
obscene. And
it's interesting you say that. Like, there's different segments, you know. There's a certain group of people who like it because they love the message and they love what we're talking about. You just mentioned the kids, you know. What they admire is, like you said, the violence, the money, the women, or what have you. But this video is shot in a style that's familiar to them. So the cultural elements and the message don't come across preachy to them. And so, and you know, the beat is good, the lyrics is good, the flow is good, the visuals. And so, you know, I think we're winning them over. I think we're winning them over with
What does it tell you?
They like it. They like it. We've only shown a handful of people, but I always use my cousin Luuk as a you know, soundboard, so to speak, and my cousins Abraham, Electa, the little ones, and they like it because the sound is familiar to them and it's relatable.
when we did the song Everything Will Be Alright, I wanted to do something that was upbeat and happy and inspirational to the people who were really struggling to make it. And I think Ethiopians appreciated the cultural elements in that.
Yeah.
But the younger generation now, unfortunately, you know, they stray away from some of the things that are, you know, the foundation of Ethiopia because of the influence of Western media and the negative perception of their own culture. And so we wanted to say, okay, here's a little bit of what you love about American hip-hop, but here are also the elements of your culture.
And a positive message.
Exactly.
You think they will be able to reverse that? I mean, the negativity that's all attached to what we do here?
I mean, I don't think one song is going to change the mindset of millions of people, but it's certainly a start.
And you think in the right direction?
It's absolutely a step in the right direction. And as you and I have talked a little bit off camera, you have to be bold enough to say, this is what I believe. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it to death. And if you like it, great. If you don't, get out the way because somebody else does. And that's what stamina is about. That's what being an artist is about, is not always doing what is going to be easily accepted, but doing what you believe. You know, because as we've talked, if the mainstream makes you, the mainstream breaks you.
You got swagger, girl, but you ain't got no stamina. You can't handle us. You ain't man enough. You got swag, son, but you ain't got no stamina. I play my own duels, so Michael fighters on battles. I'm making bold moves. No, I don't hide in no shadows. I make my own rules. The path I travel is narrow, and I don't follow your model. I got my hand on the throttle. Got the present in my pocket, strapped the past upon my back. From tomorrow on my tongue and told the future I'll be back. And I don't have to attack other rappers in this biz, cause Africans catch enough blackness as it is. An ego need not convince people it can fly. So when you hear these birds chirping all the time, y'all know why. But my third eye is optical, and I got you in my crosshairs, kicking over tables like Christ. You can't floss here. Flash a bright lights.
Share with me your life as an artist in the U.S., basically in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it. Have you been capable of kind
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I have a friend in Detroit who spent a lot of her time in Australia. Her name is Aku Kadogo, and she's a brilliant dancer, theater director, what have you. And what she helped me realize is that the way you live is part of your art. It's not just, you know, what I do on stage. And so I've been living artistically, you know, for a long time. There's no notion, this whole notion of making it is actually a lie. There's no it that you make it to, and then you're just there.
So are you comfortable doing what you're doing?
I'm very comfortable. I make a living. I don't believe in being a starving artist. I don't allow people to put me in one box. You know, every day people say, what do you do? And then people say, I'm an accountant, I'm a teacher, I'm a driver. They say, what do you do? But we say, I am. And then we say one thing, and we say it every day of the year. And then we become limited in that one box. You know, so when somebody asks me, so what do you do? I tell them it depends on the week. You know, this week I'm here sitting down with an acclaimed journalist in Ethiopia. Previously we had a Christmas celebration with Sister Tebeba, who you know I have a great admiration for. You know, we performed at the Ceylon Festival earlier this week. Before that, I'm in America working on a film. So I don't allow people to say, oh, this is what he does, and stick to that.
But don't you feel distracted? Because I know for sure that you are a hip-hop artist. Mm-hmm. You are also an actor. You do commercials. You do lots of things. Yeah. Pretty much related, but different from each other.
Yeah. You can get distracted if you allow yourself to be completely unfocused. And I've had to narrow my focus. But art is always at the central root of everything I do. So I've been very fortunate because, you know, we make music. We have our own independent tour that we've been doing with the American Cancer Society and other sponsors. We go out 2, 3, 4 months, tour, do what we do. Then I have a chance to come home, and I've been able to do films while I'm home. And then, you know, then I can come and travel to Ethiopia to support the people and the family that I have here. So at the root of it is still artistry. And so it works out that way because, you know, let's say at the end of a tour when I'm exhausted, when I have to manage so many elements of the tour and be an artist, you get physically and mentally exhausted. So then a film comes up, and all I have to do is show up, go to my trailer, you know, learn my script, Get on set, the director says action, and I just do my part, and then I go home. So it's a nice break from the grind.
But these are not blockbuster films, are they?
Not yet.
Tell me about those.
I mean, I've had a chance to, to have some decent roles in some big films. I don't want to, mislead the audience and present myself as Denzel Washington. But again, it goes back to stamina. Denzel, Don Cheadle, those type of actors don't become what they are overnight. And I'm not putting myself in that class, by the way. But I enjoy it. So if it's a small role or a big role, in acting, we say there's no such thing as a small role. So every second you're on the screen is important, and every time I have that opportunity, it's an incredible blessing, and I treat it as such.
And you do travel a lot. I mean, you've been to Rwanda, right? And
yes.
Been performing with your band, right?
Yes.
Lauren Hill were there too.
Yeah, this summer we played the FESPAD, the Festival of Pan-African Dance, in Kigali, Rwanda, and easily one of the greatest experiences I've had as an artist, because I always wanted to go to Rwanda, and then of course everybody knows about the genocide, and I wanted to see for myself what this country was all about. And I found a lot of similarities in some of the culture between Rwanda and Ethiopia. And it was a great experience because the people accepted us, they embraced us. We presented a combination of what we call Afro flow, Ethiopian influence, West African influence, American hip-hop. And, all day I was asking people, what does Rwanda mean? And nobody could tell me. So when we were on stage, we took the liberty of renaming it ourselves, and we said Rwanda, the letters stand for Rebuild with Africa, Never Divide Again. And, here we are standing in front of thousands of people who've never seen us, and they're all chanting, Rebuild with Africa, Never Divide Again. It's one of those moments that even now as I'm talking to you, I have chills. Those are the things that are priceless. Those are the things that industry cannot give you. Only artistry can give you those kind of moments. And so, man, it was a beautiful experience.
So did it give you a sense of direction, new kind of direction?
It did. Well, Ethiopia gave me that. When I came back here and reconnected with Ethiopia, Ethiopia gave me foundation and direction to understand that everything has to have a foundation. There are no shortcuts. You have to work hard. Understanding your own cultural identity, defining yourself, not letting other people define you, which is what we suffer from in America. Those are all lessons that were fortified for me when I came back to Ethiopia. These were the lessons, by the way, I knew when you and I talked about hip-hop, that I was taught through the hip-hop I grew up on. That was very progressive and made you think and read and discuss and do what we're doing now. So when I came back to Ethiopia, the people I experienced and the beauty and the history and the culture, just it fortified that for me. So
you're back to your roots.
Absolutely.
You're an African essentially. You consider yourself Ethiopian.
Yeah, I mean.
Also, you have lived for many years in the U.S. Basically, grew up and matured in the U.S.
Exactly. I just I sent my mother an email the other day, and I said to my mother, I said, I'm so grateful that you raised me with an appreciation and consciousness for Ethiopia. My mother didn't preach, she didn't teach history, but she always said, you're my African child, you're my Ethiopian child. Purpose. I don't know what it is, but for a reason. And she told me about the woman that helped take care of me when I was first born, and her name is Ethiopia, who put the love of Ethiopia. I mean, she fed me injera instead of Gerbers. She carried me on her back. She gave me the kuncho instead of, another style. So my mother always reinforced that. So I would go to school, when you're very young, and in America or something, they say, where are you from? And, I said, I'm from Ethiopia. And there were times when kids laugh at me, because I was very skinny as a kid. And they say, oh, that's why you're so skinny. How come you don't have flies on your face? How come you don't have a big belly? These kind of jokes. But that never bothered me. I was always very proud to be born in Ethiopia. And many of us in America, we call ourselves African Americans, but we don't know from what country in Africa. What does that mean? Most children now, if you tell them they look like an African, they think that's an insult.
Tell me about Afro Flow.
Afro Flow.
You have a new album.
I do.
Basically tuned along that direction.
Yeah, the new album is called Afro Flow 2. Afro Flow 1 actually was the first hip-hop project released by the largest African-American museum in the world, which is based in Detroit. And Afro Flow 2 is just an extension of that. It's not even about all African rhythms. It's just about the acknowledgement that hip-hop originally flows from Africa, hence Afro Flow. And that's what this project is about.
Is it selling?
It is. It's selling, but again, we're grassroots. So, you know, we're not selling like the chart toppers, but we're selling. And when you're an independent artist, it's a combination of selling your product, live shows, and doing anything you can to, you know, present what you have to new audiences in a way that works for you.
Grassroots stars. I like the word. Tell me about that. I mean, what makes you grassroots?
Well, I mean, again, you're right.
Or you decide to be so, or?
I think so. I mean, to be very forthright with you, we all grow up seeing entertainment, and we think, oh, I want to be a star like that. And so I was in and out of a bunch of different groups trying to get a record deal. But to be very honest with you, the music I was making then, I don't think it was very good. Because it wasn't authentic. You're dealing with other people saying, no, don't do that, do this. Don't do that, do this. And so now
you're full control.
Yeah, you're experimenting. Well, let me try this, you know. And sometimes the result isn't always good. When I decided that I'm not going to concern myself with the industry, I'm going to focus on the artistry, that's when everything actually started to take off and happen. Because I think people can tell when you're sincere about what you're saying and what you're doing. When you're not, they can tell. And as you and I have talked about, we don't have enough time to name all the artists who were big one day, gone the next day. You know, I mean,
short-lived. Yes, we have plenty of them.
Yeah, I mean, journalists like yourself, the people of Ethiopia in the diaspora, they continue to say positive things about us and what I do because we live it. You know, you ask me, do you still see the children that we last filmed you with? Right. Absolutely. You know, we support Sister Tebeba Mako, who's here in Ethiopia, serving the people every day. She's not a celebrity posing with poor children for publicity. She's serving people who need a little help to become self-sufficient. We're not doing it for our own glorification. We're doing it because here is an organization and people who are here in Ethiopia serving Ethiopians with dignity instead of exploiting their poverty. And so if I meet you in 2004 and I smile for your cameras with a few children and then tomorrow you never see me again, I'm done.
Well, I'm happy that you raised that, the charity work that you do. I've asked you that question off camera.
Yes, sir.
And you said it really well. Interesting, because there's that connection that's needed. Mm-hmm. If you want to make a difference, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can, you know, we focus so much on numbers, you know, like we want to say, I have an orphanage and I take care of 1 million children or something. You can have a major impact on a micro level. You have the gentleman out of India who won the Nobel Peace Prize for micro lending. Sorry, Bangladesh. My apologies. You support proven winners. So, you know, I don't know how to do what you do, you know, but if I support you, that helps you reach a broader audience. I don't know how Sister Tebeba and her staff take care of so many people, but I know that if I can play my small part and give them some encouragement, it will help them reach more people, you know, and it's a very simple model, but we always want to start some new organization because maybe sometimes it could be a little bit ego-driven. You know, I want to say MIK-E's orphanage, and then it makes me look like Imbamaranya Telixo. You know, we talk about the work that we do because then it gives us a chance to highlight people like Sister Tebeba. We've worked with INAPA and Dr. Ingida Asfal. We've worked with the Fistula Foundation. We've worked with countless Ethiopian student organizations back in the States. It's just supporting proven winners, people who are making a difference in the community.
So what next?
What next? Well,
have you connected with the Ethiopian artists? Are you trying to do something about that?
I have. Every year that I've come, I've had a chance to play live with a lot of Ethiopian artists, which was fun. This year we played in the Selam Festival. Dynamic young mover and shaker guy named Iya Balamayu from Yasakal Entertainment invited me to play the festival last minute. And I played with the Zion Band, phenomenal group of musicians based here in Ethiopia, and it was a great experience. And we got a chance to present Afro Flow in collaboration with Zion Band. So I'm looking forward to doing more of that. We're going to take this project, but not just the project, the brand of Afro Flow, and continue to grow it step by step by step by step. You know, it's not an overnight thing by any means.
Yeah, I got it.
Your hand up.
A lot of the Ethiopian parents, they don't like hip-hop. They think it's all negative. The one thing I would ask them to do is really listen. Please take the time, because this music is influencing your kids. If you take the time to listen, then you can better explain it to them. So, for example, when I talk to kids about hip-hop, I say, look, don't be so concerned with the music video. The women, the champagne, the cars, all of that is rented for the camera. What you should pay attention to, artists like 50 Cent, Jay-Z, people like them are very smart businessmen. And you and I talked before where centuries of black artists never profited a dime off of their own art. They didn't own their masters, their publishing, nothing. Other people got rich off their talent. A lot of these rappers are very savvy, and they control their own business and their own music and their own brand. So whether or not you agree with the message that they are projecting, you have to stop and take a look at the hard work, the dedication, and the business model. There's something to learn there.
Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.